Hey, Masai, hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Since we last talked, and given what the numbers in Florida, has your concern, especially as a team that's in Florida for an extra week or an extra week or two, has it gone up about the return to play plan and the feasibility of it all, given what's happening in the state?
Thanks, guys. Hope everybody is doing well. Um, there's always concerns. I think public health, and we listen to what the public health experts are telling us, and I think the NBA has done a good job in inquiring and really trying to dig in and getting us back to play. As Adam said, there has to be a good balance between health, safety, and the economy of this of us getting back into play. We When you do these things, you have to make plans, right? And we had a situation in Toronto too that we had to deal with in terms of the 14-day quarantine, and you have to set things in motion. And we decided that this was what we were going to do, and it was a safe environment. We continue to think that it's a safe environment for us, and it has been so far. So we didn't see this virus. This pandemic has been very unpredictable, especially in the States. So, but we're planning to go ahead. We're all excited about getting into Orlando and moving ahead with the season.
Thanks, Masai.
Up next, we got a question from Doug Smith from the Toronto Star.
Zai, how are you? Thanks for doing this. A couple of things. Like the NHL or Major League Baseball, did you consider asking the federal government to waive the 14-day quarantine or change it anyway?
Yes, we did. We went through that process, and I think it was difficult with the federal government, and all we wanted to do was abide by the rules and regulations, and at this time, I think Canada has done an incredible job with COVID-19, and we continue to listen to the public health experts, but we had a responsibility too to get back into action, and we found at the time when we made the decision that going to Florida and Florida Gulf Coast University was the best option for us.
One follow-up. I understand that all the players did arrive in Florida, and given that some around the league have opted out, were you surprised, or did you have to convince any of your players that it was going to be safe enough that they should give up their basic lives for almost 4 months?
I didn't have to convince anyone, but we all have discussions, and I think it's important that we communicate with all our players, and this thing takes time. It's a process, and we all put our heads together with our organization as much as we can, especially in situations like this where it's overall it's a focus on safety. It's a focus on team safety, but it's also a focus on individual safety and their families too. So we have to get everybody involved. So our coaches were involved, our players were involved in this decision to go there.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Doug.
Up next, we got Michael Grange from Sportsnet.
Hey, Masai, how are you?
What's going on?
Not much. So when you say your players were involved and coaches were involved, first of all, was there a vote? Did you guys actually do it as formally as that, or was it just sort of you took the temperature of the different groups?
No, there's no vote. It's just discussion as a team.
Okay. And when you look at what's ahead, I think there'll be 94 days, I think, if for the team that wins the title. or competes to the end of the finals, and then you've 2 weeks in Florida in advance of that, potentially 100 and something days. What about your group gives you some confidence that you'll be able to navigate that? Is there anything about your team you think might have an advantage in such an unusual situation?
Mental toughness, chemistry, just the way our guys are built, the experience we've had being together for a long time. The chemistry of the team is so important. The belief in themselves. I think there's great camaraderie with them, and yes, there's going to be concerns, but our guys are being responsible as much as they can in these situations. And yes, there's family concerns. Everybody is going to miss their families, and these are tough situations. But at the end of the day, there's a passion for basketball and a love for the game, to play the game at a high level and go out and compete and get back to what we're doing. There's also all the issues we're going through at this time, and there's a chance to go use this as a good platform to show the world that really Black Lives Matter, and we're trying to prove something here.
Thank you.
Up next, we have a question from Rachel Brady from the Globe and Mail.
Hi, Masai.
Hi, Rachel.
I wondered about the testing of the players. So I take it the group is being tested sort of like every other day or something at this point already? Is that how it's working?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
the testing is it keeps going.
Yeah, maybe you could describe a little bit what that's like, and to go through regular testing like that, and then to wait as a group and find out if everybody's safe all the time. Just be going through that all the time. What's that like for you guys?
Those things are. I think once you go through the first couple ones, it just becomes, I think, the normal routine of they know what we're going to go through in this process. So it becomes normal, and it is what it is. Rachel, I hate to say it like that, but this is now the process that we're going through, and it's the protocol, and everybody wants to be safe, and I think it's a responsibility on us to be safe during this time. So they are all trying their best to go through those routines, and they're doing it very well.
All right. Next, we have Nicole Gay from WINK in Fort Myers.
Hi, Masai. My name is Nicole. Yeah, we are a local station at CBS here in Fort Myers. Awesome to have you here. But I just have a couple of questions for you. Obviously, it's been tough for the players and everyone during the quarantine. But what can we expect from these players once they return to the court?
I think they're going to be awesome. Watch them workouts. They're all. There's anxiousness to come back, and play. They've been away from the game for a while, and I think it will be good to see the whole league back together again, and the whole process of just the NBA and playing. So they're competitive by nature, and they want to go out there and compete, but just playing the game that they love, I think, will be fulfilling to them.
Okay, sounds good. And also, really quickly, after everything that's going on with the cases, do you think there's a possibility that the season might not get played here in Florida?
I haven't heard anything like that. I think everybody is geared up towards this and excited. I think Adam Silver, the NBA, the Players Association, have done an incredible job. Honestly, I've been humbled to be in a couple of the committees during this whole process, and the NBA is a seriously well-oiled machine. They try their best to do everything to to the best way, best of the safety of the players, and they're going to try and make this whole event or the campus hopefully a great experience for everybody that has the opportunity to experience it. And then for people outside, everybody wants to see the game come back, and we know how we all miss sports. Sports has just been something missing in our lives, and makes us happy, brings people together. I think it'll help restart maybe some sort of happiness or some sort of joy in seeing the game back again.
Definitely. And then another quick question as well. A lot of people want to know how has Fort Myers been for you and the team, and what do you guys do on a daily basis here?
Everybody's staying safe. Stay put in your room and obey the rules. And they go to the gym and do their practices and come back. That's just the routine. That was what was planned. And maybe some other time we'll get to see the area a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next up, we have a question from Josh Lewinberg from TSN.
Hey, Masai. Going back to the testing, the NBA announced last week that 16 players tested positive the first day that they started testing. Have any of your players tested positive since the league started regular testing?
I leave that to the league and the protocol of the league. The league is going to announce all tests. That's the way it's going to be. So it's just the protocol of the league.
Thanks, Masai.
Up next, we got Mike Ganter from the Toronto Sun.
Hey, Masai, how you doing?
What's going on, Mike?
Not much. First off, kind of in line with what Josh was just asking, and separate from the whole COVID testing and everything, do you go into this thing as healthy as you can be? Like, there's no lingering injuries or that we wouldn't know about at this point?
We're hoping. Everybody, knock wood, has come back in good health, good shape. With these things, when guys have been away for so long, it's gonna take time to get back. And again, we're hoping that there's nothing there. But so far, everybody has been okay.
All right, and then I just wanted to ask your opinion, because you can't know this, but does the setup benefit or hurt the Raptors as they're made up right now? Do you think, like the setup for the return?
Honestly, Mike, I don't look at it that way. It's a tough question. All I know is we're all anxious to get back together and start working out, and just didn't want it to be a situation where guys were just sitting down for 14 days and not being able to do anything. So we kind of came up with this idea, and we're just trying to go abide by the rules and stay focused, do the right thing, follow the procedures, and then head to Orlando to try and defend.
Okay, thanks, Masai.
All right, we got our final three questions here. The first one goes to Michael Grange from Sportsnet again.
Just curious, what steps did you take to make sure that the hotel or wherever you're staying in Fort Myers or Naples area is, its own little bubble, I guess? How comfortable do you feel there, and maybe a little bit behind the scenes? I presume you're not coming back from the gym and everyone just stays in the room for 2 weeks. What's the environment that you're existing in before you get to Orlando?
Well, the environment we got ourselves into was a hotel that I think was closed and opened up just for us for this in this situation. So we were lucky at least to start up in that situation. So very minimal contact. We abide by all the rules of COVID-19, wearing masks everywhere in the hotel, doing everything that we washing hands, playing all the hygiene rules and by all the hygiene rules, and whether it's the cleanliness of the weight room or everything around the hotel. So not to go into details, we did as much 99% of the homework that we possibly could do.
And who was the person who sort of supervised that, kind of set that up, and kind of was responsible for making sure your environment in Florida was as you described?
Well, Teresa worked hand in hand with whoever the contact was there, and also Dr. Howard has worked with everybody to ensure that we are safe and sound there. So they made all the contacts that they were allowed to make.
Thank you.
Go to Doug Smith from the Toronto Star.
Hey, Masai, getting back to the other aspect of this, we'll start the Black Lives Matter. Have you had discussions with your players and coaches on what kind of statements, protests, displays they will do once the league is together? And how important do you think it is that there's some kind of unified front among all players to continue to address these issues even while games are going on?
Yeah, first of all, Doug, this is a really interesting time, and Black lives do matter, and we're really going to use this platform, I think, and it's not just this platform; it's continuous, right? It's something that I don't think is going to stop because there's so much to be addressed at this time. We have had really good discussions, meetings. I think you saw what Adam said on a league level. I think that's first and foremost of what the league would do. I think we're concentrating on a few things, and that's the what does the NBA do? I think long term in terms of what resources are they going to put into this. I think there's the discussion of Black executives and Black positions in the NBA. And then there's the discussion of how do you use the campus and Orlando to really show the world that we can be a voice and the players can be a voice. So that's on the NBA level, and I've tried to be as involved in that as much as we can. Our players have been involved with that. Kyle, Fred, all these guys have very much been involved with that, even with the Players Association. And then on a team level, we've had our discussions, whether it's us in the front office. We've had our discussions, and Nick has done an incredible job, honestly, with this, and he's relating to the coaches and the Coaches Association and giving us as much information as we can. And then our players. And I think they put it well when they said, we are going to do this in a couple ways. So what are you doing individually? What am I doing, me as Masai, with this, with my platform, with my position? How am I trying to help and really push with these issues and how we solve them? And then what are we doing collectively? You know, like I know Fred is doing things individually. Kyle is doing things on his own. Bobby is doing things on his own. Nick is doing things on his own. Then we have to do things collectively, and we've formed a nice little committee that's is composed of players, coaches, and front office members, and we're going to tackle this matter as hard as we can, because it's so important to us, and the momentum is now. Also, lastly, on the ownership level and MLSE level, there's been a lot of conversations, and I'm happy about those. People are concerned, people are engaged, and we have to be, because there is a huge problem, and as I said it before, people have to address it. We have to address racism. It's also, in Canada, we're not immune to it. There is the issue here, and we're going to pay attention to it and attack this matter as the best possible way that we can.
And final question for this morning is going to go to Mark Spear from the Undefeated.
What's up, Masai?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Hope to see you soon. Wanted to see if you could talk about your kinship with Serge and Pascal, not only being from Africa, but the odds that you guys have been able to overcome to get into this successful championship position that you guys have been in.
It's unique, but well, I'm blessed to have known these guys from when they were younger, and I just love the things that they do so well, which is really compete, which is really be respectful to people, and then it's bringing people along as you go, as you find success. I think they've done it well, and that's just what the relationship has been about. We take pride in how do we win here? How do we win in the NBA? And then what do we take back to the continent and see how we can bring people along? So I'm incredibly proud of these guys because they compete at the highest level. They've never stopped. They support their teammates. They are great teammates, and they want to win. They're champions, which when you go and you want to inspire youth and people around the world, there's something to be said when you can say that you played on the world stage and you won an NBA championship. So we're absolutely proud about that.
What has been the key? Can you hear me?
Yes.
What has been the key to Pascal being able to fill Kawhi's shoes?
Pardon me?
What has been the key that Pascal has been able to fill Kawhi's shoes?
He's very competitive. The first time I came, when we started talking in the end, he told me he didn't want to be a role player, and I was like, okay. Sometimes you don't know what to make of that, but you just believe in the player, and with him, there's just that work ethic. He puts so much time into the game. Just like the high level players, they just want to compete and do the best that they possibly can. And Pascal competes. He's one of those guys that wants to win. He puts winning first, and when you can figure those things out in a young age, and then learning from the likes of Kyle Lowry, the likes of Kawhi, that competitive edge, that fighting spirit, its mental toughness, all those things, I think was a really good learning curve for him. And then he's been lucky, with Nick Nurse, that just let him started with Coach Casey, and then Nick took it over and gave him the reins of being able to handle the ball and kind of operate the way he wants to operate, and doing it within the team. He's just such a competitive player. and a good person.
And lastly, real quick, the jerseys. What do you think about the jerseys? And you're around the guys. Have they said, hey, I want to put this on the back of my jersey, that on the back of my jersey, after Chris Paul said on the record that they're going to try to allow people to put social justice messages?
Our guys will have their great ideas, and they'll come up with something. It is a time, I think, to shine. It is a time to show the world that Black lives do matter, and there are tough conversations to be had. I know they'll be engaged in some of these conversations while on the campus. We're excited. We'll see what they come up with.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Masai. That's all the time we have for this morning. Fred Van Vliet is coming up next, probably sometime between 11:45 and noon. But we'll give everybody a heads up. If you want to stay on the meeting, you can just turn off your camera and mute your microphones. But thank you, Masai, for your time today.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. See you guys soon. Are you guys coming to the bubble? Come on, you guys coming in?
Only 10 of us are allowed. Only 10 are allowed total, probably.
I got some connections. I can get you in.
Thank you, Masai. We appreciate it.
Give me a couple $. I can get you in.
Wow.
You guys are my guys. Wow. I need to see you guys, man. I need to see you guys walking past the video room, man. Hey, we'll figure it out. Hopefully we'll be back. We'll be back on track. Back to. I'm not one of those that wants to say next season is going to be played without fans, man. Next season is going to be played with fans by the grace of God. Like we'll get through this and get back to normal. I'm one of the optimistic ones, that we'll get through this. So anyway, thanks guys, and I can't wait to see you guys soon.